Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone, and welcome to this TRC webinar. Today's topic will be the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements, and I'd like to meet our new digital assistant. Before we get into the topic, some housekeeping rules. So you'll be all muted during the webinar. There's a question section to ask your questions, and I'll be happy to answer your questions or any comments you have at the end of this presentation. And I'd like to remind you that the webinar will be recorded, and you'll get the link to the recording and presentation a few days after this broadcast. So this is a topic for today, and before we get into the matter, I'd like to give you the agenda of this presentation. So today is a 30-minute webinar, and we first have a very brief introduction to the reuse company, and then a general approach introduction to the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements, so what it is, how we understand it, and also an introduction to the other sections. The digital assistant for quality reviews will be then developed with more detail, same for the requirements authoring, and finally some time for questions and answers and conclusion. So a few words about TRC, short for the reuse company. So TRC is a solutions provider specialized in the application of semantic technologies. So we started with NLP, natural language processing, and now little by little, and with the increase of an extension of capabilities we have in the tool, including also artificial intelligence to improve the digitalization of systems engineering activities. So that said, let's get into the topic with the first section about the guide to writing requirements. So short introduction to this guide and general approach that we have with regards to this publication. So the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements, for those who don't know this reference, it's a product of the Requirements Working Group, which goal is to expand and promote requirements engineering to the system engineering community and present its benefits. And this product, the Guide to Writing Requirements, is providing a set of characteristics, rules, and attributes. So all together guidance on how to express textual needs and requirements expressions. And so we can consider the Guide to Writing Requirements to be a single comprehensive set of characteristics, rules, and attributes that tell the requirements engineers how to write a well-formed need or requirement expression. So I'll get later to this aspect of need versus requirements. But yeah, just before an overview of the content of this guide, so you can access the summary of the guide. For the full guide, you need to be a member of INCOSE to be able to have this. So just so you know. But I'm giving you information which is included in the summary, which is available for everyone. So we have 15 characteristics in the guide. So I'll tell you later. So there's one more here, 42 rules and 49 attributes, and altogether they are the framework for well-formed requirements expressions and needs expressions. So an example here is I want to know how to make sure that my requirements are appropriate. So I have to abide by rule number 2, 3, or 31. So the appropriate requirement is expressed in active voice, subject verb structure, solution free. That's just an example. We have characteristics for individual requirements and characteristics for sets of requirements. You'll see the impact of having that later in the implementation that we are suggesting. So version 4 release. So the release was last year, July 2023, and there's a new characteristic 15, which is pointing to correctness of sets of needs and requirements. So we have correctness of individual requirements here, but this characteristic here is new, and it's basically make sure that all the characteristics here are okay. So it's a new characteristic added. Together with this characteristic, we have rules. Rule number 6, units, which has been modified. Rule 33, tolerance, and a new rule has been added to tackle decimal format. And the other additions to this guide are requirements patterns, Appendix C, and rule applicability matrix, Appendix D, which we'll talk about just after. And one of the challenges posed by the guide is to address both need and requirement statements and to understand the differences between the two. So zoom into the Appendix C. So Appendix C is describing, so that's a representation of what would be the generic pattern that could be customized. So each slots of the patterns could be customized. Condition, entity is verb, action, limit verb, the property. So these are generic patterns. You can add more, you can use less of those, you can change any of the components of these slots. And if you get to an example, then that's helping you properly structure the requirements. So this Appendix C is fully compatible with other pattern libraries like or syntax like ears. For example, condition keyword could be while, when, if, and then after the condition we have an agent, a proper system defined. You have a system response, which is composed here of an action, qualifying clause, and constraint. So this is the generic pattern, or we call them boilerplates as well, defined in Appendix C. Appendix D is introducing a new aspect, which is the applicability matrix for the sets of rules in the guide, which is a set of recommendations to tailor the rules from the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements to your specific document or sets of documents. So we have a book with the details about why we need tailoring for the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements and how we address this tailoring. But the matrix is a generic framework about how we could start tailoring the rules. So we have, generally speaking, when we speak about tailoring aspect, we have 3 dimensions: level of criticality, lifecycle stage, and level of detail. But if we decide to tailor to either needs or requirements, the 2 aspects is, so is the rule suited for needs or suited for requirements? And the second aspect is, do we need a project data dictionary? So the more details I have about the system of interest, the more detailed data dictionary I will need. Same for the lifecycle stage, and the level of criticality could also have an impact in that. And so that means we only check cross-domain aspects, not considering specifics of the domain, or we do include specific glossaries and data dictionaries. So this rule applicability matrix, this is just an example. We have a detailed presentation about this and the improvements to the guide version 4 in another presentation that I will refer to just in the next slide. But here, if we consider rule number 1 and rule number 2, this is the rule applicability. So this means compulsory for both needs and requirements. So we recommend, so all these are recommendations. We don't want to enforce anything here, but our recommendation here as to this rule is to apply it for either needs or requirements. So have a proper complete sentence, subject, verb, object. For the second one, active voice, we might recommend it for needs, so we don't consider it mandatory to have active voice in the needs. It's recommended, but we could have a higher tolerance considering that needs are expressed from the user perspective and the user is receiving service from the system. So in most cases, needs might have a higher probability of featuring passive voice. So that's why here we would accept to skip this metric, or at least have it have it with a different level of criticality. And the third option is compulsory for requirements and optional for needs. So we consider it optional here. It's another degree. And the rule scope is defining if we need a project data dictionary or not. In that case, these two are syntactic, grammatical aspects, so they're not depending on the domain. So more information on following this link about the implementation of the latest concept of the Guide to Writing Requirements version 4, presented in September 2023. So now I'd like to meet our digital assistants to tackle these aspects of the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements. So this is a representation of a requirements engineering process. We have a management on the top, which is also involved, and we could have rules applied at authoring phase, so stakeholder requirements definition, for example, and rules applied at verification phase, system requirements definition in here. And we consider that, so that's why we have the assistant or assistants. So the full tool set could be considered one assistant, but actually we have different components. One is targeting requirements writers, and the other one is targeting verification oriented aspects, KPIs, and the final inspection of the requirements. And in between, we will have a lot of iterations, and the idea here is to reduce this number. So one example here would be, okay, TBD is not a problem here. We still in progress here. We don't want to have TBD applied. And then you have to manage the number of iterations, and everything is supported by requirements management tool, which could have this tool featured and which offers a connection for RQA. So in a nutshell, we have the authoring tool targeting requirements authors with as a key features real-time quality check, so mainly correctness. I'll get to the CCC approach in the next slides. The other aspect is the auto-completion of requirements powered by semantic ontologies patterns. Like that means we have the ability to suggest specific terms to the user following the sequence of blocks that the pattern is composed of. And then this tool is available in different versions, plugin, web extension, as I will present later. Whereas RQA is more suitable for requirements reviewers, end of chain inspection. So once people contribute using RAT, for example, to defining the requirements in different sources, so requirements management, ALM, risk management, you could have different tools here and there. In the end, we could inspect the whole thing using the quality check to connect to sources above 50 tools here in that case. We could define in this tool, this is where we define the settings to configure and customize the quality rules, which are named metrics. So one rule in the INCOSE Guide to Writing Requirements is implemented into a metric in the tool. And we can also have statistics, quality reports, and automated assessments as well. And all of this is to be thought within a progressive approach. So all these iterations that here are represented. So rewriting, reevaluating, confirm. So this requires to be done gradually, and that's how we represent the things here using, it could be white belt, yellow belt, so martial arts like vocabulary, or you could have your own definition of what would be the belts here. So you put the number of belts you need and the name you need, but the approach is the same. You need to start from basic syntax-oriented metrics to flag the most harmful errors for the users, and then you have to go more specific and include more advanced topics, more system-oriented, more vocabulary, glossary-oriented things as the ontology grows. So requirements quality assisted by the tool. So here the main concept is to implement customized configuration. So this is I will tell you about how the tool implement the INCOSE guide to writing requirements in the next slides. But here the idea for any reference could be INCOSE guide to writing requirements, it could be NASA requirements checklist, BABOK, it could be any reference you might think of, IREP characteristics, ISO 29148, you name it. The idea is the same. You have a set of characteristics that you need to convert into a set of metrics. So one characteristic could be implemented into several metrics. Each metric has a parameter which, using a function, returns a result. And then this result is being compiled, so an average is calculated to give you the score of the requirement, high, medium, or low. So that's the basic concept. We have this aspect for correctness, tackling individual requirements. So that's why the RAT authoring tool is mainly targeting correctness, because we're editing individual requirements, while the requirements quality analyzer RQA is tackling consistency and completeness besides that, because we're connecting to a set of requirements and we would like to produce statistics of the overall set. So when it comes to tailoring, I said we have 42 rules. These 42 rules have been implemented into a total of 58 metrics. So the metrics are quantifying the rule. So when a rule said use a proper sentence structure, we have to define quantitatively speaking what a proper sentence is, what a proper sentence structure is. And we need to define, so okay, we need a subject and this subject before the shall verb, a defined subject, we need a one condition. So this is how we quantify the qualitative indicator, which is the rule from the guide. And the quality function is also here to define different levels, and to it's another variable for the customization of the metrics. So this is an example here. Zoom in into the mapping table, which is where we feature the rules from INCOSE with the rule name here, and we have the characteristic, the rule characteristic, and then we have the metric name. We have a metric numbering to easily identify the rules and the metrics here, and then we have the scope for the applicability matrix, and I'll show you after that we also implementing the applicability matrix into the tool. So this table can be downloaded on the website following this link. Okay, so about the applicability matrix, so the implementation that has been done is the following. So 4 different sets. So we have needs and requirements on one axis, and the other axis is cross-domain or domain-specific. So we end up with 4 different configurations that are available in the tool. So each project database has the ontology knowledge, so common generic ontology knowledge, and you can import a knowledge library featuring this set of quality configurations from our website. So needs verification or requirements verification. And here again, the different belts. So this corresponds to different levels of quality assessment thoroughness. So basic one following needs verification at cross-domain level, and then you can go to very advanced for requirements and domain specific. So this is how this would be available into the interface. You could select one of these, you can customize everything that is inside, create, delete, disable, enable, change the weight, change the quality function, etc. So let's get into the first example. So here I'll display the quality assessment tool. So I'll get to the authoring in the next section. And in this case, I'm connecting to Cameo model. So this would be any of the would work with any of the 50 connectors available. We have here, you might see the doors module open at the same time. So you could get to this one and do the same. And then we can connect to the requirements within the model and display them in the RQA view. And then the first thing when we work with the tool is to select the quality configuration. So in that case, we select 1B, so it refers to the in the matrix to the requirement statements with the cross-domain matrix. So you could decide which configuration to enable. In that example, I have other customized configurations that I could define. So that's up to the user to create his or her own configurations. So then, once we select the configuration, we can start assessing the quality of the requirements. So getting into the quality assurance tab. But before that, let's try to customize some metrics. We could decide, for example, that brackets within the requirements would be fine. So I'm writing conditions. I could simply want to distinguish logical conditions from triggers in the state machine or anything. So I could decide to have a symbol convention and the brackets would be used. And then I could also decide to remove the solution here metric. So since I'm working on local logical architecture, I might have some terms that are close to solution vocabulary. So I would prefer to enable this metric. So that's just an example on top of the head. And then we can, once it's disabled, then we can go to the quality assurance and run a quality assessment. So that means that we are running the quality here for these objects that we are connected. We have connected, and then once we get the result, we can start checking the statistics. We can edit requirements. We can export the results. So all these operations will be just shown here. So first, we can view the results. We can filter. We can order, sort by higher to lower quality. So you can do different operations to start working on the requirements, or you can send the report, what I would show just after, so that the people working from the source could contribute and change the requirements following the guideline. So in that case here, I could decide to open this requirement. So double clicking or right click author would give the same result. Then you have this requirement. You can check what's happening. You can click on the metric. Then the result is shown on the requirement. You can suggest to add new terms to the vocabulary. So I'm sending a suggestion, and a user connecting to the same repository from another tool called Knowledge Manager can take care of this suggestion and add a term into the ontology. Then I have another term here, and I could decide to change radius, considering, okay, I didn't define what a radius is in that database, so just an example. Then I could change here to another word. Say here I have put length. Then I just have one open-ended clause here, at least. So instead of saying at least, I will be more precise, saying 10 centimeters plus minus 5%. And so I could then consider I save this requirement. So you could then save and close, and then this would be stored in the model. Once we save here, so we have a save button here on the top, and once you save this and save into the source, then you can see that in the model we have the requirement that is stored. And here, just a quick overview of what we can do about reporting and seeing the statistics. So this is the current view of the requirements quality. So I have a lot of rules applied, so which explains the lower quality. And maybe some terms are not defined in the ontology. Here, just show you an example. Evolution scoreboard, we can store the quality result as it is right now, and then see the evolution. and then we can also export the reports here. So you have a report export function in the options below. So short or full report, depending on the level of detail you want. In the short report, you just see the details for the objects with a lower quality rating. The one with high quality will not be displayed. And in that case, you can see that, yeah, you could see the statistics, but in a report layout. So with the different metrics involved with the ratings, and then for each requirement, each individual requirement, what metric is flagged and what are the words detected. Then you can send and export in different formats, as you can see. If we select PDF, then we can save it, and that will be the result you can see here. Okay, so now let's move to the authoring the assistant. So as I said at the beginning, you have the quality at the end of the chain, but at the beginning you would like people to use the tool from the beginning if you want to enforce some good practices to avoid having to correct these errors that might be in some cases harmful for the understanding of the requirement at the end of the chain. So to do that, we have a tool called RAT authoring tool. 3 additions. One is within the Engineering Studio, which is the interface that contains the RQA Quality Studio for the quality analysis that you just saw. Second option is the plugin outside the tool. Within the source tool, you can have this embedded, like doors, like in Capella. In Word, you have also this available. And third option is the web extension, which will be featured in the next recording I will show. You can install the extension, and then anytime you have a field which is editable, you can see the web extension here for the title, the description, any of the fields, and you could use this extension to edit requirements in real time, which is more or less the same interface that we saw with the metric flagging the requirements, etc., but adapted to web context. So you have more information here about this using following this link to the webinar about applying ears patterns for requirements authoring. Some features of RAT include requirements patterns guidance, as just said, auto completion, real-time quality assessment, and the suggestion to edit requirements as shown earlier in the first recording. Just quickly showing you the the example in the web interface. So in that case, we are using here a Cobeamer tracker containing system requirements. And once we click here on the box, so we see the interface, the icon available. We can create a new requirement from scratch, give it a title with or without using the extension. And then for the description, we say, okay, let's use the extension. And this opens this component, which is the online version, which could be used with or without patterns. So in the first example, we saw editing without patterns. Here we can see creation of a requirement, including patterns involved. So you see that it's showing some suggestions, and on the left at the same time, it's showing the quality stars. So what you had on the right in the desktop version is on the left in this version. And so you can keep writing, free typing, or following step by step the patterns. In that case, we have some free typing options for conditions. So we don't want to restrict how to write conditions. We just want to make sure that it starts with the right keyword, and until we get to the main sentence, which in that case is so for featuring different components, logical components of my system. So if I say cooling system, patterns can also include context restrictions. So if I say shall, then I'll get only the functions allocated to this one, decrease temperature. If I get to the other one, if I say heating system, so my temperature warrior is increasing its own temperature to resist against, or reducing to resist against the other systems. And here, if I say heating system, then I get the other, let's say the opposite function here allocated to this subsystem. And so this is how you could use this assistance within the source tool, mainly for the contributors working inside the ALM or PLM tool. So I don't know if you have any questions. Now I'll leave you a few more seconds to ask your questions. In the meantime, I will announce the next webinar, which is on the 11th and 12th of September, and about the MBSE zigzag pattern, a theoretical and practical approach. So how to transfer requirements between requirements management tools and MBSE tools, how to include traceability between these two worlds, and seamlessly interoperate in this iterative and recursive process. So a link to the registration is available here. It will be available in the presentation. So feel free to join, and we'll be happy to help with you. So coming back to the questions, so let me check if we have any in the chat box. So yeah, I have one question here. So do you plan to have integration or plugin or connection with JAMA Connect? So I will take the questions one by one. So these are three questions actually. So integration, if that's a word that usually includes all of the options that I presented. So integration could be both the authoring part and the quality assessment part. But in that case, let's consider plugin or connection. So plugin could be the web extension that I just presented. So the web extension is already available for the user. So if you have a JAMA Connect requirements repository, and then you would like to use the web extension, that you can use it in the browser, provided that the browser you use is compatible. So as I said, Edge, Chrome, or Firefox. And for the connector, it's not available yet, but there is some we have in the roadmap to include this connector in the list of connectors. So I don't have any accurate date to give you about this connector availability, but it's on the roadmap, and we hope to have it in the near future. Okay, so any other questions? I don't see any more questions. So in that case, I will just tell you about the possible next steps if you're interested in going further. So you can book a meeting with one of our consultants using the link right here. And then two options if you'd like to further explore these capabilities. One is called the requirements analysis service, which is with the help of our consultants, you get a sample analysis of your requirements, and you can see the results to help you decide if it's good for you, and you can see how the tool is behaving with your requirements, following the INCOSE guidelines or any other of the available guidelines in the tool. Or the other option would be to do it yourself and request a trial license, contacting our this address here. And also, if you need further information, we have our website's webinar section in here. You have the YouTube channel as well if you'd like to follow our latest content. And if you have any specific question related to this webinar or relating to the RAT or RQA tools, then you can send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer you. So thank you, everyone. Goodbye, and have a nice day.